This video is going to feature an overlay in Google Earth of a series of polygons which describe the Sanders County in Montana. And this data is pulled from the Montana Cadastral in the data section, and it comes as a shapefile. And that shapefile is put into QGIS and then saved as a KML file, which is right here. In this particular case for this county, it ends up with a 50-some megabyte file, which is a large KML file to load in Google Earth. So you will notice your Google Earth client slowing down on this particular layer, but there are some ways that we can work with this data in an efficient way. So I'm going to go ahead and press open, and that, depending on your system, will take more or less time. So my system has loaded that, and what will happen a lot of times in Google Earth is Google Earth will zoom to what's called the extents, or kind of a zoomed view, which includes all of the data. So if I kind of zoom in a little bit and zoom out, you can see that it's a little bit choppy in terms of how fluid the zoom is. And that's because Google Earth is attempting to render or display. In this case, I believe there's about 15,000 different parcels that are being shown in Sanders County. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll turn that layer off over here on the left side. And then I'll just zoom into the place that I'm interested in particular. So let's use this property right here as an example. So now that I'm zoomed in, I can click the checkbox over here, and we'll see these property boundaries load up again here. So when I go ahead and click on this property, it gives all of the information that is currently in the cadastral. The owner name, lawyer, nursery, the address, and some other details about the property. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here and see if we can find, so you can see in some of these, sometimes what will happen is when there is a variation in terrain, the polygon will kind of bury itself inside of the terrain, so it'll be difficult to see. And I just recommend moving to a little bit different perspective in that case. There will be other times that it's difficult to click on the overlay. So for instance, right here there's a hand. My cursor is a hand symbol, which means if I click, it just moves Google Earth around. In order to get information about that polygon, I kind of have to find a little special place somewhere in the polygon where the cursor turns to a pointer instead of a hand. There we go, we get it. And that pops up the information over the overlay. Now we can refine that a little bit, but this is a pretty basic data conversion, so this is really the utility version. One of the things that I like to do, since there are so many, since this is such a big data set to kind of refine, let's say that our properties of interest are these three properties. What I would do in that case is I would right click on this temporary places, add a folder, and we'll name it. So I'll give it some name, and then it appears down here. Now if we go over, first we can click on one of these parcels and see the information. We can also right click and press copy. Then we can go over this folder and click on the folder, and when we right click again and paste, you'll see that that particular polygon is now under this folder. Now if we click off the cadastral, we can see that we still have this polygon present here. So I'm going to do that for the other two by clicking the main cadastral layer on, right click on this, copy, click onto my some name folder, paste, we have two, and I'm going to try to get this one more. So you can see right here my hand, it's just the hand, so I'm not able to actually access that polygon. So if I kind of zoom in a little bit, change the perspective. There we go. So I'm going to copy and paste that as well. And now we have these 3 areas of interest right here. And you can see also the zoom is much more fluid versus if we load that complete data set again, we start to get into rendering issues. It's not too bad in particular on this one, but that's kind of a quick overview of a cadastral from the Montana Cadastral mt.gov website on their data output section. And we can see here in particular this cadastral data was uploaded by the state technician on January 12th of 2016. So that looks pretty current to me.